everyone, I'm Dr. Jamie Sabato, and I am here today because I want to share with you a little bit about my life and a little bit about why I'm coming to you on my very first podcast from my daughter's bedroom. So my daughter's name's Allie. Actually, her name's Alexia, but we call her Allie. And she suffers from a rare neurological disease called West syndrome. For those of you that are going to look it up, it's W-E-S-T. It's called West syndrome, W-E-S-T, and it's a rare neurological disease that impedes upon the development of the brain. So as a result of several hundred seizures a day, Allie, now at the age of 25, is nonverbal. She's non-ambulatory, but never in her life was she ambulatory, and she's never spoken a solid word. I'm here today because I want to share with you the foundation, the nonprofit foundation that Julia Topple and I started called My Allie's Place. And we're coming to you from Boca, Florida. That's South Florida. And the reason originally why I moved down here was because Allie couldn't weather the winters up in the north. We lived in New Jersey. All of Allie's hospitals were primarily in New York City. We lived right outside of Manhattan. But we moved down here and we relocated because of the weather. And I know a lot of people don't have the luxury to do that. And believe me, it was like starting from scratch all over. But I knew really for Allie, it was almost a matter of life and death. So there was no choice. It wasn't really up for discussion. So we relocated here, and Allie progressed through the public school system. And the public school system up in New Jersey was fantastic. So New York, New Jersey, Connecticut are really great if you have an individual with special needs at a young age. And then we moved down to Florida, and then she continued on through her program in school. And there was a period of time, which I'll get into on another podcast, where we all moved down to South America. We moved down to Argentina. And that's a whole other series of podcasts. Some funny, some crazy, but interesting times that I think would be helpful to share. So here we are, and we started this nonprofit foundation, and the mission basically is to help those with individuals that loved ones with special needs, and to be able to heighten awareness amongst our community, and also to bring more awareness and to educate people. And so through this process, because I'm a teacher at heart for over 20 years, I want us to be able to communicate with one another. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to be able to help you. I want to share my story, because I think by sharing my story, it might help, even if just one person, make their journey a little bit easier. So I'm going to add on our email address, which will be listed here. And then you can just feel free to email us, communicate with us. Hopefully we'll be doing a live podcast, and then this way we can create our community here and then be able to help one another. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my daughter. We were given up until the age of 2. Allie just celebrated her 25th birthday, believe it or not, which is an absolute grace from God and such a blessing. Now, our journey hasn't been easy, but I know journeys. I know of some journeys that were maybe harder or easier, but my viewpoint is everything is relative. So it depends what you're exposed to. It depends your resilience. It depends upon how much resilience you have, and the tools that you have. And that's what I hope to do with these podcasts, is to be able to give you some tools that I think might be helpful, and also to learn from you what's been helpful for you, for your child, or for your loved one, or your niece or nephew, or your next door neighbor. I want to be able to help to unite our community, because I know my daughter would not be here without the help, first from God, but second, my family and her amazing team of doctors, therapists, nurses, friends, relatives. So with all of their love and support throughout all of these years, I feel really blessed. And I want to be able to share my journey with you so that we can work together as a team. So what I'm going to do is just tell you a little bit about Allie's day. So when Allie graduated from the public school system, she actually graduated at the age of 23 because she was allowed to stay into the program up until her birthday, which is in July. But then I thought to myself, well, she's not the only one that's graduating from high school. What do kids do when they graduate from high school? Well, generally, they go off to college, or they go to vocational school, or they find some sort of direction in life, or maybe they take a gap year before they go to university. But in my case, we didn't have that luxury. In my case, I had to figure out what would be the best thing for Allie. And that's why I actually decided to go back for my doctorate, because I felt the only way that we could make a difference is if we could start advocating for our children. And that's another series of podcasts which we'll get into, is advocacy, which is really, really important. You are your child's voice. You need to be their voice. So I'm not alone in this. I'm sure there are millions of people out there that feel the same way. But the only way we'll be heard is if we unite and we begin to create a strong foundation so that we can help one another and we can make a change. So the reason why I started my Allie's Place was simply because my Allie didn't have a place to go to after she graduated. What happens to these kids? Kids like Allie end up becoming experts at being on the couch, and what happens as a result of that. So their normal, typical school day, getting OT, PT, and speech, and being able to socialize with all of their friends, they're stripped from it. So unless you have the means, unless you have the connections, unless you have the support, you're on your own. You have to work. You have to be able to put food on the table. You have to pay your mortgage or your rent. You have to be able to live life. So how do you balance all of these things? It's not easy. So my Allie's Place, I want to be a place that individuals like my daughter can get dropped off even for a couple of hours during the day and have some sort of meaningful communication, some sort of experience that can make their day the highlight. And for kids that are a little bit higher functioning, let's have a vocational program. Let's be able to teach them to do something so that they can participate in our community. So my Allie's Place is going to be not only a place that you can send your child to during the day. In the beginning, because we are a startup, we're going to be offering workshops, we're going to be having live sessions, and I will be communicating with you. Please email me. Again, I will put the email up, and I'll even timestamp the email so that you could find it easily. It's Jamie Sabato at myalliesplace.com. And that way we can communicate with one another and we can share our stories, little tricks of the trade, things that make life easier, even down to how you prepare food, how you give medication, how to deal with FDA approved drugs and non-FDA approved drugs that you're waiting to get approved. I have a wealth of information. I have a wealth of experience. I want to be able to share it with you. But I have to tell you, I have so much more to learn from each and every one of you. And that's going to be the most incredible part of my Allie's Place, is learning from you and sharing our stories with one another. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I can't wait to see you soon. Thanks.